to the Drew Sutton Leadership Show, lighting the way with real leaders, real stories, and real impacts. Because when leaders stop growing, the darkness wins. All right, welcome back to another amazing episode of the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. Today, we are asking the question, is local business ownership making a comeback? And is franchising the smart way for corporate professionals to get their start in the real world? Answering that question today, we have Greg Mohr. Greg is a franchise consultant, founder of Franchise Maven, and author of Real Freedom. He helps corporate professionals and aspiring entrepreneurs evaluate franchise opportunities and find the right fit and build a realistic path to W-2 income freedom and business ownership. So without any further ado, welcome to the show, Greg. All right. My computer has a little bit of a lag. I hope that doesn't catch us here. Greg, tell me, did you get to spend time in corporate America? Did you get the shackles taken off at some point, or were you free ranging the whole time?
Corporate America for about 30 years, Drew.
About 30 years, a couple years there. What did you do in America?
So the first thing I did in corporate America was restaurant management. Got my start back when I was 16 years old. Went to work for Taco Bell and worked my way up the Taco Bell ladder and became a manager for Taco Bell. Moved on from there to another restaurant chain up in Northern California. Did that for about 15 years altogether in restaurant management and got bored with that. Got a degree in electrical engineering and physics and went off to become a microelectronic circuit engineer for 15 years.
I love it. So I'm a mechanical engineer, which we call that blacksmithing in the engineering trades, not electrical engineer. I actually lived with two electrical engineers and a chemical engineer in college, and we decided that we could blow up anything that we wanted to. That's a joke, ATF. It was a joke from when I was in college. I'm not talking to you. That's cool. So I did microelectronics for a while. Here's what I like about my first job was in McDonald's. I kind of like, you have like the job of your dad's friend. That was my first job. My first like real job with a W-2 was McDonald's. And what I love about McDonald's is that not that they make billions of hamburgers a year, but they teach 16-year-old kids to consistently make billions of hamburgers every year. Yes. And I think so I was an engineer for a while, and every year I'd have this argument with my boss. We need better checklists. We need laminated cards with pictures of the engineering processes. And he was like, Drew, we're professionals. And I was like, no. I think the fact that you don't have a checklist means you're not a professional. Talk to me about the challenge, the difference between being an expert and being a checklist follower.
You got to be, well, that's a good question there, Drew. A checklist is always a good thing to have because you don't want to miss anything. So yes, in an engineering world, and the same thing goes in the franchising world as well. You got to have a checklist. When I go through the franchising investigation process with my folks, I bring up a checklist every day. Every time we have a call, every week, yes. There's a checklist. This is what we do next. This is what we do next. This is what we do next. Not only do they get to see, okay, this is a progression of it, but yes, I have to do this. What's the date you're going to do it? What's the date that you did it? Did you get the information that you needed to make that informed decision about what it is? Or do we need to go back and revisit that portion of the checklist and get you more details? Because the whole idea is to gather that information so that you can make a decision on whether or not that franchise is right for you, or is franchising right for you or not. That's the idea of having that checklist and knowing that you've done everything that you possibly can to gather information to make that decision.
This is perfect. I love this because most of us, we work in corporate America. About 50% of the economy is small business and about 50% of the economy is corporate. And of the small businesses, 81% are owned by somebody 55 years of age or older. We also, we have the similar age demographic in corporate America, and folks are kind of getting antsy. How old are the folks that are coming out of corporate and starting to talk to you? What are the age ranges that you're seeing here?
I started this 14 years ago, Drew. The age range was 45, 65. Last few years, that age range has changed now to around 35 on a low point.
Really?
And I've gotten a couple of people that are 25 years old already looking down the road and saying, this corporate thing is not the life for me. I need something different.
All right. So here's what's interesting about that, right? Is that as you went 14 years up in age, your clients went 10 years down in
Yep.
age. That is interesting. I think that says a lot. This is a bit I do a lot. My first child, I paid $0 to have our first child. I think we were paying $300 to $400 a month in health insurance, and then I moved companies, and then we had a couple more kids. My last child cost me $5,000, and we spent 1 day in the hospital. First child was $0 and 3 days in the hospital. Last child was $5,000 and 1 day in the hospital. And I think that speaks to the erosion of the golden handcuffs. So it used to be, if you're in corporate, if you just kept your head down, you could do really well. You could be a big success. And I don't think that value prop is there like it used to be.
No, it's definitely not. With the people that come to me, it's interesting what they say is that not only, keeping your head down doesn't work anymore, you have to excel because there's so many people out there that now that they can choose from to do it. But they also look at the fact that there's actually a ceiling on there. The same thing I was thinking when I went on there. So I had to be an engineer. The boss sat down with me. You got to be an engineer for 2 years. You're going to be at this level, and then 3 years at the next level, and so on. I'm just looking online. I go, when I was making like $100,000 after I don't know, 7, 8 years I was there, and I was going to get up to 150, 200 by the time I was 15 years into it. And I'm like, when do I make the big bucks? When do I get the big thing? So 1 or 2 people make it up to the top, but the rest of them, you've got that ceiling. So there's a limit that on that. And that's when my people come to me. They say, I'm looking down the road. I'm seeing that limit, and this is just not working for me. I've got to have ultimate potential to utilize my potential, my skill set, and have the income be up to me, not up to somebody else.
Yeah, no, I think it's 100% true. I used to hire people and I used to sell them. We would actually talk about this. I would sell them a career path. I think that's what we called it. The hierarchy, if you come and work here, then I'll be more than happy to fire you when it fits me. We never said that part out loud, but that is 100% right. You give me 2 weeks, but I can fire you on a Monday morning. Yeah. Actually, you fire them on a Friday afternoon, so you get the whole day of work for them. Just a little hint for those in corporate. I know it's
probably about what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, of the folks that are coming to you, how long does it typically take? Because this is a big fear moment, and this is it's kind of like the tail end of the sell that I make. I'm like, hey, listen, I got a career path for you. You're not going to have to worry as long as you don't think about the fact that I can fire you when I want to. So people are like, well, I can't leave because they're afraid they don't have enough information. And that's where you come in and you help them start kind of combing through. How long does it take before somebody that comes and works with you can identify the franchise that's going to fit them?
Our whole entire process, Drew, that's a great question. And because people want to know, when am I going to be in my franchise? 2 to 3 months. 2 to 3 months, basically, from start to finish on there. And you hit on a great point there, fear. That's where I lose people. I have to manage their fear for them along the way because this is something they've usually never, ever done before on that. So every step of the way, we always have to manage their fear. But for 2 to 3 months until they sign the agreement, we come up with a few franchises for them pretty quick. So, you folks out there, you and I will sit down. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about where you've been, where are you at now, where do you want to be 5 to 10 years from now. So we'll be looking at a lot of factors. I'll be asking a lot of questions about, what your goals are. And then I'll narrow those, take all those goals, take all that information. And most of the time, you folks out there, if you come to me, you'll not know what franchise you want. Most of the folks, Drew, don't know what franchise they want. They know what they don't want. They know what they don't want. That's pretty easy. That's an easy question on that. But as far as what they do want, they're not entirely certain. So that's where the communication back and forth goes, where I'm asking a lot of questions, finding out about them. But we can narrow it down usually to 2 or 3 franchises that look like they're a good fit and that might feel good to them. Within the first week or so, I'll have a list of them and we'll go through there. And usually about 75% of the time, we don't have to go back and revisit that. Usually my first list of the 2 or 3 franchises that we start to investigate, as the 2 to 3 months progresses, we can narrow that down. And usually by the time on the second month, by the end of the second month, we've got it down to one, not semi-sure about, but one, I think the other one I think is really good. I just want to make certain, compare. And then by the end of that third month or sometime by the end of the second month, they're like, that's the one, let's get it done. Or
and then
the franchise is not right for me and I'm out of here.
Right. And then you're Rocky's guy, right? You're the guy in the corner with the bucket that's like, no, 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 you're fine. We went through everything that we had to go through. You can do this, right? We can more than happy to buy, a $500,000 house these days. You can just one bedroom, one bath. Um, yeah, but that's because we have a real estate agent in our corner, and you do so much more than that, helping folks figure this out. Um, what are people's major objections? Like, let's talk, let's hone in on the fear just a second. You know, everybody's had their sister-in-law started selling Mary Kay. We all make fun of whatever, it's a pyramid scheme, but they live in a pyramid scheme, right? They're literally spending their life building somebody else's thing. And as soon as they leave, all of that built capital, the programs they made, the people they managed, all that's gone. So there's a huge risk staying in corporate America. But why do people still stay? We said fear, but let's kind of whittle in on that fear. What are they really afraid of?
Failing. Funniest thing in the world. I'll ask them, I'll ask them every time we talk, what are your fears? So I'll ask them when we first started, what are your fears? Fear that it's failing, fear that it's just not going to work. So I'll look back and, I'll usually have their LinkedIn thing in front of me and I'll have talk to them and I'll say, okay, well, where in the past, show me where in the past that you have failed at what you do. And they're like, well, I've never failed at anything I did. I said, well, what makes you think you're going to fail now? You've never done it in the past. So, but that's still a challenge to get over for folks because this is something brand new, something completely different, something they've never done. And you asked about why they stay in corporate America or why we stay in corporate America. It's the addiction. We are addicted to that paycheck. We are addicted to the fact that every 2 weeks we show up, we get that paycheck in the bank. Everything's hunky-dory. It's not broke. Don't fix it. It was broke from the very start. You were trained to be broke from the very start. Get a job or get a degree, get a job, get a pension. That doesn't work. You're going to limit yourself right there. You really want to do what you want, when you want, with the money to do it. You got to get over that fear. You got to try something different. You get to talk to so many different franchisees who have done it before you. So you're going to gather lots of information. You're going to make lots of friends along the way. You'll find out.
Well, and what's interesting about that is not only will you make a lot of friends, but the conversations probably change. I know that when you work at a large organization, you go to a meeting, and then at the end of the meeting, we schedule a 15-minute meeting where we can gripe about the fact that Sarah and Greg were such jerks in the meeting, and can you believe they brought that up, right? And then you smile at Greg and Sarah in the hall, you go, hi. So you live your life with these people that you don't like, complaining about them behind their back, and then working overtime because of all this trouble that they gave you, man. It's so hard to find good help these days. But when you become a franchise owner, I can't think of a single franchise owner that I know that isn't really excited about life, that doesn't have a big plan that they're about to do, that hasn't taken their family on a vacation. Like the conversations become this source of positivity and this challenge and like expressing ourselves. Whereas in corporate America, it's just the whole thing is a conversation of smallness and of scarcity.
Very true. The biggest difference is there that I tell people, and the other things that they'll come to me and they'll say is that I don't want to buy myself a job. It's like, well, you've already had a job. You treat that franchise like a job. It is going to be a job. It is an asset. Treat it like an asset. Even if that franchise says you got to run this thing full time to begin with, it doesn't matter. Once you've got it built up, any franchise can be run semi-absentee. You've got to look at that as the asset, and the reason we become entrepreneurs, other than the fact that we just don't like people telling us what to do all the time, is because we like to do what we want, when we want, and we want to have the money to do it. If you want to do all those things, that franchise, any business for you folks out there, even if it's a private business that you buy, you've got to treat it like an asset and make certain that it's manager run, that you can walk away at any point in time. Also, a much easier way to sell if it doesn't revolve around you.
Oh no, actually I'm launching a new brand right now called getsellableBook.com. It's a book that helps folks figure out how to sell their business. I'm into buying businesses right now. That's a different conversation entirely, which you and I should definitely have a conversation on. But yeah, the idea is if you are the core of your business isn't worth anything. It's literally a job. And so, but you did your three things. If you want to do what you want, when you want to do it, and you want to have the money to do it when you're doing it, that's freedom. And I think that clarifying freedom as opposed to financial independence is a big deal, a lot of people have money, especially if you're an executive at a corporate somewhere. You probably have money. You probably have money on the books. You probably took your kids to on a Disney cruise. Your wife probably took your kids on a second Disney cruise while you were at work. But we don't have freedom. So there's this kind of false dichotomy of, well, you can either have money or you can have or you can have time, but you can't have both. But that's not really the case. How long does it take for a franchise owner? And no guarantees have been made on the show. How long does it take for a franchise owner to start experiencing the freedom that is possible in the world of franchising?
It usually takes about 2 or 3 years to build up a good franchise system, and that's going to depend on the franchise itself. If you're looking at the services industry where you've got a small office and you go out and visit with your clients, and not a brick and mortar type establishment, you're going to be there a whole lot quicker. An establishment that you have to build out, like the ones we see when we're driving down the road, McDonald's, Taco Bell, Meineke, Mako, Supercuts, Great Clips, those take a little while longer because they've got to build out. But basically, within 2 or 3 years, you get into a service industry, you've got that business built up to where you want it to be, and you're bringing in a good solid income, and you're having a manager run it. Now you're starting getting your freedom.
Yeah. So let's talk about money, because I think this is the next portion of fear that's surrounding all of this. I'm a corporate guy. I got 200, 300 maybe in my 401k, maybe 100 in my 401k. Young man, young lady, 25-year-old, maybe they don't have anything. And they say, well, one day I'll be able to get that franchise, retire, and then I'll sell ice cream cones. Walk me through a new way to think about money, because I know that the way you think about money when you get a paycheck is very different than the way you think about money when you're buying an asset.
Correct. So when you're getting a paycheck, you're getting the money, but you don't have an asset. You don't have equity in something like that. So yeah, I mean, Dan came to me and he had the same thing. He's got some money, stock in his 401k plan, but he travels a lot and he's always out there, and he's got 2 young kids, and he wants to stay at home a little while longer with the young kids. He doesn't want to be out traveling all the time, wants to be part of their lives. So, and that's what he had. He had his 401k plan. He's got the money. And we talked about the same thing, the ceiling of what he would do and how he could do it. But what he didn't have any equity built up in anything. So he's got nothing to sell at the end of the day. So as you're saying with your book, like how to sell your business, well, first of all, you've got to get a business that you can sell it. So that's what Dan was looking for. What he was looking at with me. Not only was he looking at the fact that he wanted to be home a little while longer, with the kids, so he wasn't traveling throughout the week, but he wanted an asset and he wanted to build up equity for him in his life, something that he could sell at the end of the day, because you can't sell your job at the end of the day. So that's the difference between the money. You got the money coming in, but that's a set amount, and you got your stocks and whatever, but it's not something that can continue to grow on itself, and that you decide at some point in time what you want to do with that asset. Do you want to use it as an annuity? So now it's bringing in more money for you and you just let a manager run it. Or at the end of the day, do you want that equity that you have built up? Do you want to sell that off, get that back, start a new franchise, or just go out and do whatever you want? You got enough money now to last the rest of your life. So you got to build that asset. You got to build up equity, because the job is not an asset and your job is not equity buildup whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I love it. All right, so let's talk about some misconceptions around franchising. I think that I hear this a lot about rental properties. Folks are like, well, I don't want to clean toilets out because somebody's told them that if you have a rental property, you have to deal with clogged pipes. That's what plumbers are for, hint. So we're talking franchising, and I think that what pops in everyone's mind is a restaurant of some sort. Well, I don't know that I want to run a restaurant, or in my case, it'd be a chicken finger place because I love chicken finger places. But there's almost everything is franchised these days. I mean, there's learning communities. Tell me some of your favorite things that are franchised that most people might not be thinking of.
Well, yeah, crime scene cleanup for one. So there's one for you.
Cleanup.
Crime scene cleanup. Yeah. Bet you never thought of that one. There you go.
No,
Somebody's got to do it, and they made a franchise out of it. You will not be the one over there cleaning up. And it's more than just crime scene. It's just
right.
Cleaning up organic type material that may have been left off. But that's one that's unusual. People don't think about. But Pooper Scooper, Scoop Brothers. You like animals? You like the outdoors? Got a great franchise for you. So what it goes to show is that there's actually a franchise in almost any industry that you can think of out there, not just the restaurant. So there's basically two different types, Drew, of business out there. Your brick and mortar, and that's
Yeah.
the ones I mentioned before. Everybody sees those. That most people come to be. That's what they're thinking is, large investment, full time, large build out. But the other end of the spectrum is the service industry franchises on those, and those are basically around $150,000, $200,000 all in. Small office for something like that. So think of senior care, think of tutoring, think of commercial and residential, lawn care, pest control, general maintenance, window cleaning, anything you can think of to maintain that building, that premise. There is a franchise out there for it, and those service industry franchises are the ones where you can really get in great money in those. Start with one territory. Franchise is looking for you to make a great six-figure income. You want more than that, pick up more than one territory. Again, small investment, 150, 200,000. HVAC, plumbing, electrical, all of those they have franchises in. All of those are essential services. So it doesn't matter what the economy is doing, Drew. People are going to need these services. They're always going to be there. Great business to get into.
No, I love it. All right, I'm going to bring back up the pyramid scheme. We had a guy, this is 2 decades ago. He was selling Mona V, which is a drink of some sort. And he tried to sell it to all of us. We were a corporate job. And we literally made a fold up pyramid. And we gave it to him with his he was not happy. HR was not happy with us. It was a funny moment though. But folks are like, well, I don't want to be involved in a pyramid scheme. Why would I go to a franchise when I could just start it from scratch? Like the franchisor is going to charge me a huge number and all of my profits are going to go to the franchisor. And I already have a boss. I don't want a new boss, especially one that takes my profit. Why don't I just start my own coffee cart? What are your thoughts on helping somebody start a franchise and the cost involved there, as opposed to just, getting their own little trailer and selling cappuccinos at the parking lot of Kroger?
Drew, first thing I tell folks is check them both out right now. Check and see what is it going to take for you to build that business up to the level that franchise is at right now. Do that, because all of these franchisors did just that. They started out all doing it themselves. What they have to offer you now is the fact that all those mistakes that they made along the way are now out of the way. So they know what not to do. And most importantly, they know what to do. And they're giving you that action plan to do it with. So you're looking to get to where you want to be 2 to 3 years quicker, at least, going the franchise route as opposed to doing it yourself. But by all means, I tell all folks, check them both out. Yeah, you're going to pay a one-time franchise fee. It's generally going to be about $50,000, give or take. And that gets you everything you need to know about that franchise, all the training you need to run that. You're basically renting a business model is what you're doing there. Royalties are generally going to be between 5 and 10%. And yes, they're going to be right off the top on there. So, and I had Samantha. She was looking at that the other day. She was looking at a painting type franchise, and she was looking at the fees, and she goes, well, there's several fees that they have in there. I'm a little worried about the fees. I said, well, good. I'm glad that you're worried. I'm glad that you're concerned. Keeps you sharp, and you want to stay on top of those things. So let's find out what do we get for those fees, as opposed to being afraid of the fees. And again, going back to the fear thing and being fearful of, I'm going to pay too many fees. I'm not going to make any money. Let's find out, what do you get for those fees? And let's make certain that you're okay with the amount of return that you're going to get for what you have to pay for those fees. So if you're paying that advertising fee to that franchisor, what are you getting back? Are you getting a whole bunch of customers? You're getting a call center that sets up the appointment, schedules the appointment for you. Maybe they will map out the property. They'll tell the customer exactly how much it's going to cost to come out there and do their lawn for it and take the credit card over the phone. And then they tell you, all you have to do then is go out there and service that franchise. So I told Samantha let's find out from the franchisor, and then let's follow that up by talking with the franchisees and find out from them, because it's got over 100 franchisees in there. So why did those over 100 people decide this was a good idea? Were they afraid of the fees too? So gather that information. Don't worry. You still worry a little bit about what the fees are, but what you really want to find out is what do I get in return? And is it worth it to me?
Yeah. No, I love that. And again, I think this all needs to be put against a background of the boss that you're currently paying a franchisee to. I'm sorry, a bonus. Meant to say a bonus. No, um, and I think the other thing though is different franchises help different people. So I have a friend who's got several Subways, loves Subway. He's like, listen, the bread never rots. It's basically plastic. No, that's my opinion of Subway bread. Um, no, he loves Subways because everything is completely systematized. For each of his locations, he can pretty much tell you exactly how much cold cut he needs every day, exactly how much bread he needs every day. It's like this. It's extremely systematized. And then he got another company that sold ice cream, and he hated it because the ice cream machines always were broken down, and they kind of are a mess, and the cleaning's a lot worse, and you need more staff to run those establishments. It was a burger and ice cream joint. There's a lot of those. I'm not picking on anybody in particular, but it just wasn't for him. He loved his five. I think it was maybe it was three. He loved his Subway stores. Hated the burger ice cream joint. And so the other thing I kind of want to highlight there is that he got into a couple, and he didn't like a couple, but he managed to make it to the asset stage where he had managers running these things. So here's the next fear point that I think people are afraid. How will I find somebody to run this? How do you do that? Do you guys any quick tips for that?
Yes, get with your franchisor, and before you sign on the dotted line, find out how they're going to help you find how they're going to help you find employees. Excuse me, employees, especially managers, if you're going to do that. Or are they going to help you? Or is that something you're going to have to do on your own? That is one thing that, especially if you're going to start it out like a semi-absentee manager run business to begin with,
Yeah.
occasionally, and we've got one franchise that just came into our system that says, if you are going to do that, before you start talking with us, we want you to have that manager picked out. So that's entirely up to you on that one. Others will say, that's part of our process. We're going to help you find that manager or that specific employee. Like if you do plumbing or electrical services where you need a licensed plumber or a master electrician, something like that, you don't
Yes.
necessarily know where to find those people on that. So you want that franchise or to help you find them, tell you what to look for, what to ask, how to do, and do the background checks on that. So these are the sort of things you need to find out before you get involved in that franchise system.
No,
Basically,
actually, so
basically your role. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, all of my customers, every customer that I've client that I've ever had has said
Mhm.
basically, can you help me with marketing? The answer is yes, reluctantly. Can you help me find good help? The answer is definitely yes. And then
Mhm.
how am I supposed to install AI? Which is a much more interesting conversation for me, the engineer, but not necessarily for me, the operator. Any rate, finding the right person, I think you really need to put this number against the cost of not having the right person, which is every day. And I think this is what's different about corporate and franchising. In corporate, if you kind of lose your way for a week, if you're like, I got the vacation, I need to kind of ease back into this, or, we're kind of between projects right now, you can kind of mail it in. Whereas if you don't have that manager and that team in place at the franchise, you're it. Like there's a huge cost to trying to find the wrong person. We're going to try to use my cousin. We're going to spend now it's been 6 months and we still haven't found somebody. So I've been doing it all. Having that assistant that gets you the right person is worth a lot.
Absolutely is. When you're doing a manager run business, you absolutely have to find that person that you feel good about, which is why the franchisor helps you locate and where to look for them. But you've got to be the one that's going to hire them because you've got to have a good fit for that, and it's something you can rely on. That would be the biggest challenge when you're treating that as an asset doing a manager run, is really coming up with somebody that you find that you get along well with, uh, somebody that you could, when the day is done, you could hang out with, go, have them over to your house for dinner, or they go to their house for dinner. You really want somebody that you can relate to when you're doing that, and that is a challenging part of of the semi-absentee type businesses, but it's something that you're going to have to come to grips with. And if you've never done it before, which is this is a challenge for some folks, if you've never actually managed people or had a team of people, and you're going to do that for the first time, that's going to be a big stepping stone for you. You got to make certain that you're okay with that. a lot of the folks I come to have already been managers, so they've already run businesses within businesses, so they've already got a feel for hiring the right people, firing the right people. Some of my franchises will tell me if it's going to be a semi-absentee run, whoever you bring to us, they've got to have experience firing people. I said, what about hiring people? Well, yeah, that too, but firing people. Yes, not
No,
all of
this
it.
is true.
Yeah.
Your wife's cousin is almost always a bad hire. I'm not looking at you, Sandy. Kind of looking at you, Sandy. All right, let's talk about people though. This is a great segue here.
Mhm.
Who is built for franchising? There's a lot of franchises out there,
Mhm.
and I think this is your line. There's a lot of franchises out there, but there's not. But everyone's not ready for franchising. I think I messed that up. How do you say that?
There's probably a franchise out there for everyone, but everyone is not for franchising.
There we go. So
Yep.
some people want freedom. Some people want a system. Some people want they want the ownership, but they don't like accountability. That's really what they're saying. They're like, oh, I want to be free, but what they're really saying is they don't want a boss calling me out on my stuff. Some people like a proven model, like myself, but then once I get inside the system, I'm like, but I could tweak it. So there's a lot of friction here. Tell me what it takes. How would I know that I'm probably a guy that would love franchising?
Well, just to get into business in the first place, Drew, you've got to be somewhat risk tolerance. It is a business, even though it's a franchise, we're reducing your risk a lot. You've got to have a risk tolerance. There's still that risk. One, you got to be a great communicator because not only are you communicating with your employees, but you're communicating with that franchise on a regular basis. So it's a lot of give and take back and forth. You've got to be a self-starter. One thing that franchise is not going to do is going to call you up. Hey, Drew, you awake yet? Time to get out there and get that business going.
Yeah.
You got to do that. You got to do that yourself. People that don't make a good, you got to be mentored too. By the way, the franchise is going to mentor you. You got to have a mentor, and you got to follow systems and processes because that's what it's all about. You got to make certain that you're okay with the checklist. You got to have a checklist, checking those off. They've got all that for you. People that don't make it is when they want to tinker with things right away. If you're going through that franchise system and you start talking with those franchisors and you're thinking, I see ways where they could improve on things. The franchise system is not for you. Go out, start your own business, come back to me, we'll turn it into a franchise. But if you like to tinker with it, that doesn't mean you can't at some point in time. But when you first go into that system, you've got to be able to follow the systems and processes. After you get to know the system, after you work in there for a while, that is quite often how franchises change and grow over time as their franchisees see things that could be done differently. So you talk that over with the franchisor, again, great communicator, back and forth, find out the things that need to be done. I had a lady that, vice president in the gaming industry over in Las Vegas. She took over a tutoring franchise and took over the whole Las Vegas Valley. And she said, there's one thing when she first took it over, first started, she says, there's one thing you folks haven't done yet. You haven't hit up any of the hotels and motels. They said, well, that's just not our business model. But you've been in the hotel industry. So if you'd want to give that a try, you feel free to do that. Go for it. Let us know how it works. It did not work. So she said, okay, Uncle, went back to operating it there in their system. And that was years ago, and she's doing great ever since then. I don't know if she ever went back to try and do that model again, but they gave her the freedom to do it. It didn't work out. But so follow the systems and processes to begin with. You make a good one. If you're a true entrepreneur where you truly want to do things your own way, by all means, start a new business and we'll turn it into a franchise.
Well, and this is so I coach a lot of startups. I'm kind of moving away from that zone because one of the key characteristics of a startup is they don't have money. It is what it is. But when we say to people that are in the VC space, so this is kind of the whole VC world. We're like, hey, listen, young entrepreneur that has a great idea, potentially great idea. We don't know what the market wants, but potentially has a great idea. If you'll just go master sales and marketing and legal and accounting and HR and running a business, then you'll be great. And we'll be happy to let you struggle for 3 or 4 years. But the franchising opportunity is a different proposition. It's like, hey, middle-aged person who's already demonstrated some level of competency, we will teach you how to do everything you can be to be a success because we've already learned a lot. Why don't you jump in here for a couple, 5, 7 years, make some good money, and then walk out with an abundance of skill set and to keep going. With your clients, how long do they generally stay? Do they hop between franchises fairly frequently, or do they stick at one and they just run it the course?
Drew, I've got to tell you, most of the people that I work with ignore me after a while, after I put them into a franchise.
Well, I mean, it is what it is.
They've gotten into it. They're great. So the few that I've done that I've stayed with, who was it? I think it was Eric over in Tennessee. He was a traveling person. He did a lot of traveling, and he had a brand new kid, and he wanted to stay home with the kid. So we got him into a kitchen remodeling franchise. He did the kitchen remodeling franchise for 3 years. And then he came back to me and said, Greg, this was fun. A whole lot of fun. It's a blast. Help me sell it. And I want to try something different now. So like,
Okay,
cool. I'll do that. And we did. We got that one sold for him, which he sold at like 3 or 4 times multiple, which is usually what franchises go for. And got him into another one that he enjoyed as well. A little bit bigger one that time. Another gentleman, Donald over, he ran a senior care franchise. And this franchise, so a senior care franchise, and this senior care company wanted him to run it full time. He had to be full time on there. Some of them do, some of them you can do semi-passive. 3 years later, he said, the last year I've been having a manager run this. Everything is running beautifully. Everything's fine. I'm bored. What else you got out there for me? So enough. We came up. I came back with him, and we got him another one. Added to that, it was a complimentary one for what was he doing? He was is when seniors have to relocate or downsize, they help them downsize their homes and sell off their things in their house and help them sell off their house. So it's like a senior relocation type franchise. I complimented what he was already doing with that. Other people, they just, let's see, the Gordons over up north, they got into electrical services franchise. They were going to do that semi-absentee. It's pretty funny. He was going to do a semi-absentee. He had a full-time job. She had just left her job like health services or something like that, and she was running their real estate properties. They were going to run a semi-absentee. At the very end, she stood up and said, I know how to run this business. Let's do a full-time. So she ran an electrical services franchise herself. She did it full-time. And that instead of doing a semi-absentee, they got one territory, immediately bought another territory, and then a couple of years later, bought 2 more territories, and hubby quit his job, and now they run 4 territories full-time. So they're just growing out on that. So the few people that I do keep in touch with, they're doing fantastic, and they keep growing.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's pull that string then. I think you already answered this question. A lot of folks they're tired of the handcuffs, but they're afraid to step out, and so they're like, "Can I start this semi-absentee?" Now, I think we all know at some point we can run it absentee. That's the game. That we're trying to get to a point where a manager runs it for us. Do you have 1 or 2 pieces of advice or stories about where folks kept their corporate job for maybe 6 months or a year or 18 months while they got and thus kept their paycheck while they got the franchise off the ground?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We got, I had a lady that was an attorney, nonprofit attorney, and she got into a senior care franchise. I seem to put a lot of people into senior care franchises for some reason. Good business to get into on that.
I mean, it's a good, yeah.
Good solid one. She kept her corporate job, and she got into the senior care, but she was able to step away from that after 3 years. I had another guy in Houston. He ran, he was in the Houston Symphony Orchestra, if I can say that. Not Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah.
And he got into of all things, because he liked to work out, he got into a fitness franchise on there, and he kept his job in the Symphony Orchestra, organizing events, doing those sort of things. Kept that, built that one up, and then built out another location a few years later after that. So very doable. It's getting into the right franchise system that could support that. And you want to make certain that when you're going in there and you're looking at those semi-absentee businesses, that you can talk to people that have already done that before, so that you have somebody to check with to see exactly what does that semi-absentee mean for that business. We usually say 10 to 15 hours, but that's going to vary by franchise. Make certain that you're aware of the amount of hours that you have to put in before you do that, because that's where some people fall out. Is that some of them are like, yeah, I've had people look at that too. Tisha looked into one, and we were talking to the franchisees in the plumbing industry, and she liked the plumbing industry, but she found out after talking with a few of them that don't try and run this franchise semi-absentee, because unless you're willing to put in, 20, 25 hours a week to start out with, because that's
Right.
what it's going to take. So we find out along the way whether or not the franchisees are very brutally honest. To tell you the truth, when I was looking into franchise, I was looking at a digital marketing franchise, and the gentleman asked me, it was pretty funny. Gentleman asked me, I was talking to one of the franchisees, and he said, "Do you have any direct sales experience?" And I said, "No, but I'm an engineer. I can do anything." He's just like, "No, you can't."
It's like, it's not for you. That's the other
No,
side of the debate.
yeah, exactly what he said. Do not get involved in this franchise. You'll fail. It's like
That's a scream.
they were
That's
brutally honest. So, and I followed his advice.
no, and I tell this people all the time when I think the E-Myth guy, Gerber, he
Yeah.
says
Mhm.
he says it's an entrepreneurial seizure. You're like, oh, I could do this. No. The activity of selling your business and the activity of running your business are very different things. And getting that marketing and sales kind of figured out before you get involved is a big help if you're a technical person like us. Yeah.
Very true. Very true, Drew.
Well, cool. We are running out of time on the show. This has been great. I want to talk about your book real quick. Here it is down here at the bottom, realfreedombook.com/real freedom. Is this a giveaway? Tell me what's going on here.
Free plus shipping on the Real Freedom book itself on there that you can do. If you just simply want, which is great, just go there and you can get that. You can get a hard copy of that free plus shipping. If you want a PDF version, go to my website, franchisemaven.com, and go to book resources, and you can download a PDF version of that. This is a step-by-step process, what I take everybody through. I tell everybody, by the time you're through with me, or by the time you're through with this book, you will know how to investigate every franchise in the U.S., real-world examples of people that I have worked with on here, everything you need to know, franchise attorneys, funding, all that step-by-step. Very last chapter is if you have a business, you want to turn it into a franchise. The very last chapter is about turning your business into a franchise with another real-world example of two gentlemen that did just that in the senior care industry of all things.
In
Okay.
the senior, all right. So I'm a little bit of a Peter Drucker fan. I fanboy over two people. One of them is Dan Martell. The other one is Peter Drucker. But he says you can't tell the future. The only thing we know about the future is that it's not going to be like today. There are some futures that are already here. And he talks about demographics and the shift. I know that this number of people will be 65 next year because that's demographics. So I like senior care businesses. I just haven't pulled the trigger on one yet. Anyway, this is Greg Mohr. He has his book, Freedom Book. All right. Well, I think that we hit an internet snag here. Reach out to Greg. You can find more LinkedIn/in/Gregory K Mohr. I put those comments in the comments for you to find him. It seems like we're having some technical difficulties. If you are a corporate leader, if you're a young just getting into the corporate world, and you say, I think there's a better way to do this. I want to know about the fourth option, not the corporate option. Look into franchising. Reach out to Gregory. Say, hey, Greg, I saw you on the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. I think
Bye.